DynamicCardStore.com to get the cards. Icons, legends aiming at the stars. Hursty at checkout to save your points. Now your bank account won't be staying empty. DynamicCardStore.com. Use code Hursty. Go on.
Hey there guys, welcome back to Hursty Games and welcome to a video where I'm going to show you the best goalkeepers that I have played, used, come up against, whatever, in FIFA 21 Ultimate Team. Now, I've compiled a list of 12 of the best keepers, in my opinion, in the game. No icons, so these are all just base gold, or there's one special card in there as well, but they're all base gold cards otherwise, and these are the best keepers that I think I've come up against. Now, I've tried to mainly stick to ones that are going to be relatively usable and maybe like either linkable, so they're from a main league, or they've got a good nation. And again, I'm kind of sticking to specific criteria here. I've got a few cards that are, you know, like the more expensive keepers that are really good in the game but come with a price tag, and then I've got a few cheap beasts, a few keepers that I think, you know what, for like less than like 5,000 coins, which there are quite a few here that are literally between 700 coins and like 4,000 or 5,000 coins, that will do a really good job for you in goal if you're on a budget as well. So without further ado, what I think we'll do is we'll go straight into this team. So first of all, we're going to go to the Prem, and the first keeper we're going to look at is Nick Pope. So I've used this guy for a couple of games. For me, he's been okay. He's been one of those keepers that I'm like, you know what, for 800 coins, you're pretty darn good, mate. But when I come up against this guy in Champs, in Div Rivals, wherever it may be, this guy's a pain in the backside to score against. So it could just be I've maybe been slightly unlucky with him only being good. Sometimes I played against him. He has been absolutely ridiculous. A keeper that I cannot stand playing, but when I do play against him, he is an absolute nightmare. So for 700 to 800 coins, it's worth the risk to see if he's any good for you. It's definitely worth considering because he is an absolute unit of a card and a nightmare to score against. Up next is a player that's sort of that mid-range. I've bought him for 18,000 coins. I've used him for nearly 50 games now. And Hugo Lloris, for me, is a very, very good goalkeeper. I think he's been one of the cards that have been most consistent in goal for me. I think for, again, around 15 to 20,000 coins. I don't know if his price has kind of gone up and down. I bought him a little while ago. But he's been really, really good. He links to a lot of good players. I personally have him behind Rafael Varane and Joe Gomez. So it's a perfect link for me to get a soft link to both of those cards. And realistically, I think he's just really, really good. He's good diving, good reflex. It just makes him just feel very, very agile, gets to a lot of saves, very quick to come out as well. He's got 64 speed, which is not too bad for a goalkeeper, and he just closes things down quite a lot, with chips being quite big this year. Having a keeper that's actually quite quick and catches people maybe slightly off guard with those chips can be very, very effective. After him, we've gone with another budget keeper, and that is Areola. A lot of people run Areola. He's basically the cheap version of Lloris. Again, you can pick this guy up for like less than 1,000 coins. And he, again, it just seemed to be a bit of a beast in net. 6'5", so fairly tall. Not quite as tall as the 6'7" Nick Pope, but just a big, big player. Spreads himself well and makes a lot of saves. And again, a really good budget and really good for either hybrids. So you can link to, again, many French centre-backs. There are quite a lot of good French centre-backs this year. And also quite a lot of Prem centre-backs. So although he's not going to get many strong links, he's going to get a lot of soft links that will help you start the hybrid of a team in that defence there. So Areola's a very, very good player. And up next, probably the best keeper I think in the game is Edison. Edison for me is just a keeper that is absolutely unbelievably good. One of the more expensive keepers in the Prem at least, and also I guess generally in the game because a lot of keepers are relatively cheap this year. For me, Edison is the best keeper that I have used or come up against this year. Again, relatively quick off the line, same as Lloris with that 64 pace. His positioning is fantastic. His kicking, by the way, is phenomenal. His ability to throw, kick, all of that. His distribution is just top class. So definitely worth considering as part of like the reason to pick him up as well. His distribution, the amount of times you can start a counter-attack with Edison getting the ball at his feet or throwing it out is phenomenal. But his positioning, his diving, his reflexes, the lot. He is probably the best, most well-rounded card for me personally in the game in goal. I honestly think this is one of the best cards I've used this year without a doubt in between the sticks. But now we're going to move on to another league. We're going to look at the Spanish league. We're going to start off with Neto. Here's the cheap option from the Spanish league. Again, I keep this just very, very good, very agile, decent positioning, and just seems to do a good job. For someone that price, he just seems to do a decent enough job in net. So I would say, honestly, if you're looking to start off with just a decent keeper, you haven't maybe got the budget for one of the higher end ones, which we'll get to in a minute for the Liga Santander, he will do a very good job. The fact he's Brazilian as well gets a lot of strong links to people like Eder Militao, Diego Carlos, but also he's going to get decent links to a lot of other Liga Santander players or just Brazilian centre-backs, of which there are a few decent Brazilian centre-backs this year. So I would say Neto is one of your best shouts to go for in between the sticks for FIFA 21. We're going to quickly just dip to the Ligue 1, the only Ligue 1 keeper I've got in this list, and that is Maignan. Very similar to Neto, good with links, decent for the price he is. Again, he's pretty much a discard goalkeeper. And honestly, I think Maignan is just a very, very well-rounded keeper. Slightly slow off the line is one of the only things I will say about him. 47 pace, one of the slower keepers on this list. But he just seems to make a lot of saves. He seems to get all around the goal. Very agile, very good at diving. His reflexes being 83, again, decent enough. Again, for a keeper that's like less than 1,000 coins. This guy's really, really good. Gets some great links. If you did that flashback, Koscielny, you're getting a strong link. Again, soft links into people like Varane, into people like Lenglet, into Laporte, all of these kind of players. And honestly, just a very, very good keeper and very usable for 800 coins. Again, I think this is a really, really easy pickup if you're on a budget. And then we're going to go into the more expensive players, back to the Liga Santander. We've got ter Stegen here, who in my opinion is one of the best and most well-rounded goalkeepers in FIFA 21. I really do think this guy is just very, very good. Triple stat on the 88 with diving, kicking and positioning. Again, slightly slow off the line, but for me, he more than makes up for that in other positions and other things. His reflexes being 90 is absolutely phenomenal. 4-star weak foot, if you really care about how you distribute, you know, 4-star is what it is. It is what it is as a goalkeeper at the end of the day. But realistically, ter Stegen for me is one of the best keepers in the game this year. I would personally pick him over Courtois, who I know a lot of people seem to run as well. Courtois, I think, gets better links to people like Varane, etc. But for me personally, ter Stegen is the keeper to go to if you're looking and deciding between those two. Another keeper here, this is the most expensive keeper on the list, and that is the road to the final Oblak. Absolutely phenomenal. I managed to pack him untradeable earlier today. I've since used him in a couple of games in friendlies just because I was messing about completing a couple of things, and he was unbelievably good. He was so good. Only stinker with him is obviously to get a strong link, you're kind of looking at the rule breaker Jimenez, and I don't really like that card. I think he's not very agile. He turns like a truck, and I don't think he's a great option. Oblak, however, is unbelievable. So if you've got a Liga Santander back line, or you're willing to play Oblak on 7, then definitely consider this card if you've got the coins. I think he's about 150,000 coins at the time of recording this. Obviously, he can also go up in rating as well, so he could potentially get better and better the further through the Champions League that Atletico Madrid get. But this is one of the best goalkeepers that I have used this year without a shadow of a doubt. I'm really, really hoping at some point I can maybe get him in chemistry, or on chemistry, I should say, but I'm not going to hold my breath right now. I'm going to have to stick with Lloris because of how things are, but I do love Lloris, but this is a phenomenal goalkeeper card if you've got the budget. Moving on now to the Bundesliga, Manuel Neuer is one of the best keepers I've used this year. I used him for over like 150 games, and he was absolutely world class for me. I really did love using his card. The only reason I got rid of him is because I managed to pack an untradeable Rafael Varane that I had to put into the team because of how good he was. So he only dropped out because I needed to keep a player in that wouldn't have got him chemistry. So honestly, Manuel Neuer, I think, is genuinely a very, very good keeper this game, and I do highly recommend him. If you have got a Bundesliga team, for me, he is the keeper to go to and is worth saving up for about the 30 to 40,000 coins that he tends to be. So genuinely, Manuel Neuer, I think, is one of the better cards in the game. Again, like Edison, very good distribution, which is a big, big part of, you know, counterattacks, etc, etc. But generally, all across the board, very good stats. As you can see, 89 reflexes, 87 diving and kicking, diving and handling, sorry, I should say. And genuinely, I think Manuel Neuer, one of the better keepers in the game. But if you're looking at a slightly cheaper alternative, you've got Galaxy, as you can see there. I'm just going to skip over that last one because I put them in the wrong order. Ignore that. But Galaxy, I think, is a very, very good alternative option. I do really like Galaxy's card, but at times, he felt a little bit inconsistent in comparison to Manuel Neuer. I would say if you're picking between the two, I would save up for Manuel Neuer, but Galaxy can be a good short-term stopgap to kind of use and rotate in, or to use basically before you save up for Neuer. So Galaxy, decent card, but Manuel Neuer is definitely better. As you saw, I did skim over Handanovic, probably the best Serie A keeper out there in my opinion. Again, higher rating and therefore a little bit more coins, but a decent card, very good reflexes, very good positioning, and a keeper that I don't really like coming up against very often. If I see him or I see Szczesny, for example, I'm much more worried about trying to beat Handanovic than I am Szczesny. I don't find Szczesny as hard to beat as someone like Handanovic, so definitely in my books a keeper to go for if you're rocking like a Serie A backline. Someone like Koulibaly, someone like, I think Manolas, Manolas might be a Napoli actually, I can't remember. But if you've got those two and Handanovic behind, you're looking like a real good, tasty defence. It's going to be a real hard team to break down. But Handanovic, in my opinion, the best Serie A keeper for the price he is. However, a very good Serie A budget keeper is going to be Sirigu. Sirigu, honestly, I think makes my top 3 or 4 for the most difficult keepers I've played against. I seem to really struggle against Sirigu very often. So a keeper that, again, again, if you're on a budget, he's like less than 5k. Obviously, bear in mind he's an 84, so his price could go up a little bit with like Icon SBC. Same for the likes of Galaxy, these kind of players. But for me, honestly, I think Sirigu is one of the best cheap keepers I have used this year, one of the best cheap keepers I've come up against this year, and I really do not like playing this guy. So Sirigu is, again, definitely somebody to look at, a really, really good, well-rounded cheap keeper. But that there is my list of 12, so that's starting 11, and then obviously Sirigu over there. That there is my list of 12 best keepers in this game. I highly recommend you try some of these guys out because you will not be disappointed with how good these cards are. If I had to give you, like I said, my top 3, honestly, I think Edison, and then I would probably personally say probably Manuel Neuer or Black are fighting for second place, and then the other one's getting third. Obviously, they're the more expensive keepers. So if I had to rank the cheaper keepers, for me, Sirigu is the best cheap keeper in the game. Then it's got to be Pope, and then probably Neto if I had to pick a top 3 for the cheaper keepers. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any other positions you'd like to know my opinions on cheap options and just best options at centre back, left back, right back, whatever positions you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, if there's any keepers you specifically like, also pop that in the comments. Let people know. Let's try and help each other out in this game. We're here as a community. Let's have fun. Let's help each other out by giving ourselves the best chance at winning as many games as we can. But that's it from me, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you had, then please do leave a like on the video. It really is appreciated and supports the video out a whole bunch. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I really would appreciate that too. And make sure you turn on notifications to be told anytime that we upload a video or indeed go live with a live stream. But for now, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves, and of course, wash your hands.
What?
In a bit.
Nah, his name is Hursty. Slap bald head, yeah, it'll probably hurt me. Bang top bins, it'll probably hurt you. Ginger, streamer, platform, YouTube. Drop a name in the chat, we'll say hello. Entertained, yeah, you already know. Capital H, yeah, I'm a read it slow. Hursty games, yeah, you already know.